a land best described as little but talawa. We have created musical genres that include mento, ska, rocksteady, reggae, dancehall, and some say even hip-hop and EDM. So let us tell our musical stories on the past, the present, and the future. This is Wheel and Come Again.
Welcome to Wheel and Come Again. I'm your host, Laza B, and today is going to be an amazing day because I have an interview going with the legendary Wayne Armond from the band Chalice.
It's alright, it's okay. Just hang on a little bit longer, cause tomorrow is another day. It's alright, it's okay. Just stand firm in the face of adversity and watch them fade away. I feel a little bit shaken up, I feel a little bit small. It's getting harder waking up, backside against a wall. I feel a little bit broken down, but a holding strength.
Wheel and Come Again is going to be featuring the history of reggae, ska, mento, and dancehall. We go way back in the archives. So join me as we take this journey through Wheel and Come Again. Hello to you, Wayne. How are you?
Liza, I'm great, thank you.
Fan-
Nice.
Fantastic. Great seeing you again in your aviators. For those of you who don't understand, reggae came about in the 60s and it became immediately, its popularity grew in Britain by the 1970s and it became the dominant music of Jamaica, reggae music, and anything else after that was the cousin, the brother, the sister. Yeah? So dancehall is a spin-off from reggae.
Right.
You know, a more up-tempo beat, faster beat. And so, you know, this is where we say Wheel and Come Again. It dives into the rich history and artifacts of reggae. And it is such an honor to have Wayne on. Your band, how was it formed? How did you guys get together, considering you're not the typical reggae-looking band?
Right. Well, we got together for the sole purpose of creating original music. We were all in bands that used to play cover songs for dances and so on. But we had this passion to write our own music. And we just, I selected most of the guys originally because I know they have the same passion like I did. And a couple of the other guys brought in a couple of the other guys, and that was, we used to call it the pass-through band. And when we started to rehearse, we used to say, just tell them to pass through, just pass through. And eventually, we rounded it out at 7 musicians. And we all left the bands that we were working with and went to St. Mary, lived up in the hills in St. Mary, just writing music and rehearsing and just living some of the best days of my life. That was it.
Nice. And you guys did a lot of touring, I would suppose. What was the reception like for, you know, a group of men who did not necessarily represent image-wise reggae on an international platform? How was the reception?
Well, I can sum it up by telling you a short story. The first European tour we ever did. It was in a club that probably held about 250 people. And it was a very, very show. We took the stage in darkness, and when the crowd was there, very excited, we could hear them, we could feel them. And as soon as the lights went on, we had this big disappointment because there was 7 bald-headed men on stage with a name like Chalice, coming from the land of reggae. And that wasn't the only culture shock, because we saw in front of us 250 white Rasta with long dreadlocks and khaki clothes buttoned up to the top, and red, gold, and green flag. But, however, we got held over for 3 days after that concert, just on the power of the music. And we started to do great things in Europe, just on the power of the music. And the fact that we could talk to journalists and we could relate to people, because one journalist told me that he interviewed one of the biggest bands of the day, and he talked to them for 3 hours and he couldn't write 15 sentences because, he said, well, you want to know as a foreign journalist, you want to know what is Rasta. Well, you don't know. Rasta just sight. If you know sight, well, you just suck out Rasta, you don't know. So how can you write with that kind of response? So we got along real good. We toured Europe for years and made mighty strides, but management caused that to kind of shatter. Then we went to America, and we went to Mexico, went to Africa. It was all good, but I really missed the European life. We didn't go back to Europe till 10 years after the last tour. The reception we got there was like, welcome home, youngster, So it was great. Yeah. We always get a good reception. Nice.
Well, I mean, Chalice still is a very famous band. Most reggae stations do play your music currently to this very day. One of the songs I still have not heard, it's my favorite. I won't go over it again. And I'm definitely gonna ask the DJ to just pull out that song for me so I can jam to it,
You can't, you say you're not. You can't reggae, let me go. You can't, you say you're not. You can't reggae, let me go. Oh. The rainbow changes color, you'll always be my baby to me, my number one lover. My number one lover. Remembering familiar places.
Well, Chalice just had a recent concert in Florida.
Yes, I saw.
Yeah.
How was that?
Oh, it was fabulous. It was one of the reception after 2 years of lockdown. Reception for us, man, was tremendous.
How did that go? The lockdown for you being an artist, especially with such a passion for reggae, and seeing where we are now with reggae. As you can see, we are really nowhere.
Right.
How has it been for you under the circumstances of COVID, with your creativity, trying to reinvent the wheels, and also I'm aware that you're supposed to be doing some solo stuff for yourself, right?
Right.
Aside from Chalice, but what has it been like, the experience?
Well, it was, financially terrible, but creatively good. Because out of the lockdown, I released, Chalice released a new single called It's Alright, which I really believe it's a lovely song. I really believe it's going to last for a while, that song. It's not going to be an instant hit, but the more people hear it, the more they're going to love it. And we did that, and then I did a tribute instrumental album to Alternate.
Right.
Who was one of my favorite reggae rocksteady artists, rocksteady artists. Because his songs are so melodious, it lends itself to good instrumental, the melodies. So that those are two main products that I came up with during the lockdown. And I kept doing like overdub tracks for other producers, kind of help me pay the bills a bit. It's rough.
Yes, it is.
Thank God, where I am now, it's more free, and the phone's been ringing again. So that's
absolutely. I know that you mentioned about your performance and the reception being great. What did it feel like being on the stage when you heard your patrons jamming to your tunes, your songs? I mean, this is coming from way back. Word for word, I'm sure. You heard the crowd going with you.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
How did that
sure.
feel? What
You
was
want
the
to know
feeling
what it
like?
feel like? But remember not to know until the orgasm.
I can imagine, that explosive feeling of greatness and feel good energy
Sure.
on the stage.
Yeah, man.
I can imagine it must have been a very powerful moment, more of a deja vu feeling, being back in those times.
Well, not really, because you see, every show you do, it's like fresh. Every show you do is like fresh. And of course, there's that little nervousness of anticipation. Like, how they're going, people going to react. They haven't seen Chalice for so long. When some of the young people know the songs. But look, it was tremendous.
Amazing.
What a grand time.
Amazing. That's good.
Yeah.
So here we are talking about reggae. What do you feel about it right now? How do you feel about where we are culturally, where our music is concerned? The outrage that has been going on social media as it relates to the recipient of the Grammy Award for Best Reggae Album.
There should be no outcry against any foreigner winning the reggae Grammy. If your album is a good reggae album, why not? I get concerned because sometimes people want to say, why is a white reggae good? So what? Suppose it was Alpha Blondy who won an African artist or another Caribbean artist that had won Best Reggae. So what? If that their album is the best, yeah, them deserve it. And quite honestly, Laza, I'm heartbroken because it seems that we in Jamaica people has just forgotten where we come from. We're not doing reggae anymore. We're buying, the musicians are not the musicians. Artists and producers buying tracks for $30 of the internet and the DJ going it. And where is our culture apart from the voice? It's like if you take a track right now that's popular in Jamaica and you put Drake on it, it's a hip hop song. But use the same rhythm and put popcorn on it, it's a dancehall song. What is that? How can you have two different genres using the same track? They are no identity.
Doesn't, yes.
We
It's
need to
watered
catch
down,
back our identity.
diluted.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you believe that could help to, retransform the landscape of reggae in this new era?
Look, I will stand by the rights of all of these artists to do what they do. They consider themselves artists. It's a different thing. An artist to me is different from an entertainer. What can we do to transform it? We have to just go back to the roots. And the truth is, that reggae don't stop making the real reggae. It has not stopped being produced in studios. There are producers like Clive Hunt, like Willie Lindo, like I can name a few, like Tads, that are doing the real thing, but is it getting the attention that it should get? It's not, unfortunately. But the music is still being made, good music, and I come to America and hear disc jockeys in America playing some music I never heard before, from artists I never heard before. But I inquire and I find out, that make so and so produce this come from that studio, that studio. So it's still being made. It just needs to be heard. It needs to be out here as much as the dancehall or the trap music or whatever the more.
The trap music, as they call it. Right.
That's all I ask.
Well, you heard it from Wayne Armond. He says all he's asking is for us to go back to our authentic days. And there are ways we can reinvent the wheels too. It doesn't necessarily have to stay the same. There are ways in which we can reinvent the wheels. I've always spoken of...
No. Of course we can reinvent the wheel. I mean, there's so many different ways we can express reggae. When I start playing music and reggae music come into the whole scheme of things, we have steppers, we have one drop, we have beef puff color, so much different ways to express reggae.
Right.
We can use that one, we can use that. And just for an example, I want to show you the last great song of the year. There's a Skip Marley tune with her.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay? That is reggae, bass and drum right there. Right there.
True reggae.
Yeah.
In its truest, purest form.
Billboard hits. How you going to have a billboard hit when you're talking about bad mind and clean gun and girl underneath? Jesus.
Yes. Yes.
You know. Well, let me say this. As I tell you before, I will stand up for the rights of any artist who want to make any music he wants to. No care how slack, no care how violent it is. Yeah, that's the artist's right to make it. Same way movie producers make slack and violent things and pornographic things and all that. My problem is that it should not be so easily accessible by the youths, by the minds that are not yet developed. You can't have these kind of lyrics out in the bus where 8-year-old and 9-year-old have to take the bus from prep school. Come and you telling me about a girl underneath and bossman Morrow and who bad mind. No man, the children need to live what they learn. This is
absolutely. When I was growing up as a child, don't mean to cut you, we were not exposed to that. In fact, I remember the now converted Marion Hall, Pastor Marion Hall.
Right.
I remember Lady Saw was the forbidden music, was the forbidden person you could. I remember listening to my parents talking about how she was so slack. But then when you listen to Lady Saw's song back then, because Lady Saw used a lot of puns in her music, so it was not so raw up into your face. And as a child, you could not garner what it is that she was speaking about. It was when I went to high school and now I became exposed to this Lady Saw. I mean, listening to her song, her music. I thought this is what my parents were going on about, because I wouldn't have comprehended that is what she meant. No, there is no pun. It is just raw out in the open. There is no, you know?
And exposed to the young and the youths that just absorbing everything. But it's like you said, what Lady Saw pales in comparison to what's going on today.
Absolutely.
I'm a big Lady Saw fan, still.
Well, that is good to know.
Yeah, man. But in my day, when I was a youngster, my father had a record coach. You have someone on the top shelf that you don't go find. And these are things like Mighty Sparrow and comedy records by Red Fox and his well-known comedian. You don't go for that because it's a little risky. And when friends come around and they play it, children outside, as far outside as you can go, you're not supposed to that. And I suppose these kids just grow up much too fast these days.
Too exposed to everything. There's nothing hidden from them anymore. We haven't allowed our generation of children to grow as children, then become teenagers. It is very sad for me. And so, for me, listening to the songs and hearing the artist, what's his name? Oh my God, I forgot his name, but he was doing a Ding Dong. I don't know if you know of Ding Dong.
Yeah, man, of course.
Ding Dong, I have a lot of respect for him because he actually called out the artists in the business to say, listen, take responsibility for what it is that you're putting out there as lyrical content, because you have a vast majority of listeners from different generations, especially the younger youths. We are exposing our children to way too much. The adult content and the violence in there, it's really and truly very bothersome and concerning. We have increased murder rates daily, and guess the age groups of the murderers?
16, 18?
Younger than that too. Children are becoming more violent towards each other in the schools.
Right.
And I am not saying that it is your responsibility to be a role model because you have to make your money, but I'm saying that why it is that we have to become so limited in our creativity to a point where we just spit lewd lyrics that has criminal elements and criminal intentions in there and want to pass it off as I am not responsible, or we are, knowing that word sounds power. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But ask yourself why some of the kids' heroes, how much of them are in jail? I can think of 4 at the top of my head.
You want us to start calling names?
And we don't have to. I think it's well known.
And that is enough to know that we are in trouble.
Yes, of course. And you talk about influence, Liza. It's not my parents put a guitar in my hand and say, you're going to learn to play that. It's the music that I was listening to and hearing these songs. I tell you, I went to a movie when I was a young lad, about 14 or 15, and saw this band from England named Shadows playing these shiny red Fender guitars, and I was in love. That influenced me. You know. So when people tell you that one music is not an influence, but as I said, I will defend your right to do it. I just want problem I think in Jamaica is a societal one, and the kids them don't have that guidance that you had where your mother would say, you're listening to ladies song, you want to box your No, but what's hidden from the wise and prudent? But it's for guidance. If you're watching some TV shows, you see it's a PG, parental guidance.
Yes.
That's what we're missing. We're missing that parental guidance in our society right now.
Everything is just out there. I stick to my age. I'm not so much of a dinosaur, but kind of like, offspring from the dinosaur kind of thingy,
Don't say, because I won't believe you. Don't say that you're old, because I will not believe you.
So, in having that, thank you by the way. So, in having that, I stick to that era of music. And that's all I would listen to. So, like for example, I'm listening to Michael Jackson, and I'm listening to Bob Marley, and I'm listening to Dennis Brown, then I'm listening to Paris Hammond, and then I'll go on and then I'll listen to like a Celine Dion or a Patti Austin or Patti LaBelle. And then my children would be like, Mom, you're such a dinosaur, you're so old school. And I said, listen, this is actual music. I don't know what you guys have now, but this is music. As I listen to the lyrics of the song, and some of them have actually said, you have one who he will spend time to listen to the lyrics, and he's like, oh, I like this song. You know, I think what they
Right.
go for, the rhythm of the music is what really captures your ears, your attention.
Of course.
And then before you know it, you get zoomed in into the content. And then you start spewing the I don't want my boys. And I emphasize boys, because that music that is out there now, it is also what is creating the lack of regard that men or young men should show to their opposing gender. You know, there's too much brutality, there's too much violence, girl this and there is no regard, there is nothing, and unfortunately the negative tends to be more viral than the positive. Wayne, you know, it has been an amazing and quite an interesting interview with you. I enjoyed the discussion, and I just want to congratulate you for still having the fire, still going at it, still doing what you're doing, independent of Chalice and with Chalice as well. It's very inspiring, it's encouraging, and I do hope that our listeners and those who are also in the industry will use this moment as an opportunity to look within themselves to see what is it that I can do to contribute to our music industry. How can I help to improve our music industry, our talents, our skills, and the reach that we want to have and the impact we want to have. You know, it's all about passing it on and moving forward and paying it forward. And our forefathers paved the way, the greats of the Jimmy Cliff, the Dennis Brown, the Bob Marleys. Yeah. So what more can we do? We need to honor them by continuing to build and enhance and improve on what was there before. And with that said,
most definitely. And I just want to tell you thanks so much, because this wasn't even much of an interview as it was a nice conversation.
Yes, it was.
And I really enjoyed it.
I did too. So we will be in touch. Thank you so much, Wayne. I appreciated this conversation.
You're welcome.
Alrighty. You take care.
Win and come again.
Win and come again it is. Adios, mi amigo.
Blessings. Thank you.
All
Muy gracias.
This is a Pinchykobi production.